Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life and we're back to unbox the best new smart home tech out there today. This first product is one of our most exciting ones we've brought in this month, but I got a huge lineup for you. So let's get to it with this. Now, this is a pretty serious one for me to take on because I gotta change a lot around my home. That's because it's the Ring 5-part or 5-piece alarm kit. Now we're getting 5 different things in the box, but this is intended as both a DIY and a professionally monitored security system. So you kind of get to pick here. This has been my recommendation for a lot of people for a long time for a smart home security system. Now the first thing that we get in this box is the base station. Now this is a true smart home hub. If you didn't know, Ring has Z-Wave on it, Z-Wave Plus actually. And that actually means you can interface a lot of smart door locks, other Z-Wave devices, but it's gotta be compatible with Ring. You gotta have things like a battery backup for your smart home hub, especially when it is a security system. Oh, and you know what I did not know? Like, that's a pretty serious battery pack there. Is this rechargeable? It is. It's a rechargeable battery pack. This is fantastic. It's a little space to run your power cable through. I like that little touch. You do have a couple of indicators and a couple of buttons. Like there's a pairing button up there, and then you have a Wi-Fi and a power indicator. And then on this side, I don't know what this is. I can pull that out. There's an SD card in there. Oh, this is a SIM card. Ah, yes, because that is another one of the backups that you have with this system. And we're just getting started. Now, the second thing is a true keypad. And these buttons on the side, yeah, that's police, fire, and ambulance. You also have the arm and disarm or home and away buttons. Plus, in the back of this one, you have lots of mounting options. So there was mounting options with the base. There's a few mounting options here. Inside the box, look at this stuff. Oh, let's do it this one. That was fun. It's a USB-C power here, and I've got a power cable for that and another adapter, a USB adapter, kind of a different one. That's a good one. Now, a range extender. This will help, especially, you know, if you're putting stuff outside, that's gonna help. And it's gonna help for connectivity to things like door locks. Dear Ring, why didn't you get the big one? Why is this motion sensor the size? Like, that is fist-sized motion detection. That's how they should market it. Fist-sized motion detection from Ring. The thing is, there's always a reason with Ring. Don't get me wrong. There's a reason to this. I'm sure it. I just don't know it when it comes out of the box. This is Ring's contact sensor. It's the right size for the job. It has physical mounting capability and it's got stickers on it already. I can feel a pretty good magnet in there. Nothing too crazy though. It's like, it's not gonna pull on other things or go flying. There's a little button on it. And one of the points of these buttons is that actually you can say, hey, I'm on my way out, or I want to disable the alarm. There were a lot of surprises in this kit while unboxing, but the surprises kept coming as I set up the whole system. I didn't realize there were rechargeable batteries in just about every device, with the base, the range extender, and the keypad all having rechargeable batteries. I didn't realize that Ring had thought about details like mounting in corners with their motion sensor having tape on the corners, or the push button on the contact sensor being used for additional features, or that I could decide on chimes ringing on the keypad or the base, or both, or none. I didn't realize the keypad had lighting adjustment control, volume control, and motion detection features for that lighting to come on in the dark. I didn't realize that the base station had a cellular backup, an Ethernet port, or just how easy it would be to install all of this without damaging a rental property. And then I didn't realize the depth of features. For example, there's a practice mode that runs for 7 days, so you can learn the system. You can decide to self-monitor this, or you can use the full monitoring service. And you get an insurance certificate that might give you some dollars off your fees there. The contact sensor has a quick exit mode where you can tap on the button and leave without disarming your system. There's also a mode for open door arming, which means the door can be open when someone else arms the system and you won't call the police. Now, speaking of which, your emergency contacts can be multiple people, so if you're not available, those people will be called and can check in. The keypad can, of course, be used by multiple people with their own codes, and there are features like mode scheduling, geofencing, and you can decide on which sensors, which cameras, which doorbells, and all of the different Ring devices work within each mode to protect your property. So it's truly a comprehensive system, and I was really impressed with the setup process. Ring had paired all the Z-Wave products to the base station before it came to my home, so it was just a matter of removing battery covers in order to get all of those devices connected. Now, no system is perfect, and you're not going to cover most homes with a 5-piece system like this, but in a lot of cases, all you're going to need are a few cameras and a few more sensors. Oh, and definitely a Ring Protect plan. That's required. But the Ring Protect plans are not expensive. And even when you consider the professional monitoring add-on, you're not talking about a huge expense. That one plan would work with cameras and your doorbells too. So when combined, it's a really attractive option for bringing smart home gear and a security system into your home. There are some minor issues like the motion and contact sensors being a little big, and integration with other systems is not really available. I can't integrate it with Google Home, Samsung, or Apple HomeKit, at least not natively. Instead, Ring has continued to go deeper and deeper with Amazon's voice assistant. And the integration there is pretty good, as you can use all of your sensors, your alarm system, your cameras, and your doorbells to start routines. And you can even use Amazon's voice assistant to arm your system. It's not a powerful automation engine. You shouldn't consider it like other smart home hubs. Think of it more like the center of a security system with some minor automation opportunities for you. And I think for most people, you're gonna look at an 8 or even the 14-piece system. But color me impressed with how far Ring has come since I last tested this security system years ago. It's now something I'm impressed enough with to keep. Now, in case you missed it, Amazon launched 14 new products and a ton of new features earlier this month at their hardware event. We didn't see a new Ring system or anything like that, and I wasn't expecting one. But we did see the upcoming Echo Hub, which will work really well with that system. The other thing that I took from that event is that Amazon hasn't changed in their goals of basically owning the smart home market. They launched so many different things, and although some of them are revisions, a lot of them came with features that we haven't seen anywhere in the industry. Now, that's the kind of stuff I like to show you. So I'm excited to debut a brand new product for you on Automate Your Life right now. Now, what I have today to show you is called the Govee Christmas String Lights. These are brand new. There's a couple of different sizes of them in terms of how many lights you get on them. And then there's a couple of really interesting features, as there always is with Govee products. Now, as I open this up, you get this awesome looking little tree thing here. We got a little social media card. This just tells you how to get in touch with them. And then they explain their Dream View feature. And if you've never worked with Govee Dream View, well, it lets you put the same effect on multiple lights. So if you have multiple of these, you're going to be able to apply the same effect to them, and they're synchronized. It just looks great. And it doesn't have to be just like the Govee Christmas string lights that I'm showing you today. It can be other products. This is an installation and a storage card. So they're actually telling you on this one, and I don't normally keep these reels around, but they're saying you can keep this reel. I'm just gonna help you out. Now, as we get into this is where some of those specialized features come in. Now, I don't know about you, but yeah, I'm thinking about the holiday season. I want to get things nice, looking great around here. And honestly, Govee is one of those companies that I'm going to use. But here's where we do get some of those, some of those unique features. When you're thinking about Christmas lights, you're mostly going to use these on a Christmas tree. But actually, Govee's done some thinking here. And other than this adapter, okay, which is IP44, the rest of this product is IP65. And you can see how easy it was for me to unravel that and actually roll that back up. The way this kind of glides is really quite easy. Now, this is not a traditional LED strip by any means. Now, the control box here, it has a 3M sticker on the back, and you'll notice the connector. That's a very good seal on that connector. That's kind of what we see for outdoor decorations. In a lot of cases, you just twist this on. Because of that rating, it's not going to be something you want fully out there all the time. So you're going to have to think about protecting that receptacle a little bit. Now, I started to kind of peel this apart. I want to plug these in, but you have so much cable in between the control box and the adapter. You have quite a bit there. And then between the control box and the actual lighting, you have quite a bit. All right. Woo! Now there's no way I'm allowed to leave these inside of this reel, but look at this thing. Yeah, why I can't leave them in the reel is they'll heat up in here. So I'm gonna have to unreel my reel. So at the end of the whole thing, you've got this tied off and just sealed, like they just sealed that. Well, what do we think? Oh, you can't see it, can you? There you go. There's your first glimpse of these. Yes, and they're on my couch. That's the very impressive environment I've decided to put them on. Maybe we should go put them on a better place. Let's try these indoors. Let's try them outdoors. But let's go testing. This product is launching as we launch this video, so this is your official premiere. Now, the Govee lights come in 10 and 20 meter lengths with 100 and 200 light beads respectively. They are bright, vibrant, and everything we've come to expect from Govee. They use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to connect to the rest of your smart home and can be controlled with Amazon and Google voice assistants. But Govee's app is great too. Now, pricing isn't unreasonable, especially considering that these are much more than just a Christmas string light, which is maybe the most surprising thing because you'd think these were just for a Christmas tree, right? Well, I haven't even put them on a Christmas tree. They're incredibly versatile with the IP rating allowing these to be indoor or outdoor. And the fact that these light beads are so light, they allow us to mount them almost anywhere. I've wrapped this around just about everything in my house. I've mounted it in places with almost no hardware, and then I've used it for Christmas effects, Halloween effects, New Year's effects, party effects, and much more. In fact, there's so much more to this that I'll be releasing a whole holiday home automation ideas video with these lights as the focal point. That'll release October 15th, so you can find that link down below after that date. Otherwise, for now, if you're familiar with Govee, then you know all of the great effects you can create with their lights. You know how they can synchronize with other Govee lights with video on TVs, music on speakers, or just their scene effects in general. And you know how pretty a space can end up looking. I can't wait to get my new tree and put these on that, but you can pick these up right now in the US, UK, and the EU. Those are really fun, and I've done some pretty serious upgrading of my decorations in a pretty inexpensive way, and I'm really excited to show you that in that upcoming video. But it's time to look at something entirely different. And for those of you who help a family member or a friend, you need every tool in the toolbox, and yet you want to do it privately. Now, this is a product I've been watching for well over 3 years, and its development, I think, is pretty close to complete. So I'm very happy to finally show this to you. This is a product that is 3 versions in the making, and its usefulness continues to get better. I first covered this years ago. Now, this is called Sentinaire 3. It's the 3rd version of a smart home camera with a very different purpose than what you're used to. Now, I got a little manual in the box. We'll look at that. But this camera is way upgraded. It's way different than it's been in any of the previous versions. Off the hop, what I'm seeing, you have tripod or screw-in mount options on both the back and the bottom of this camera. The lens, I can see there's a mic, there's a speaker on here, and I can see a slot for an SD card as well, a micro SD card and a USB-C power port plus a power button on the top. There's quite a bit of mounting hardware. Now, this mount looks every bit as good as other ones. It's a plastic mount, so don't expect a big metal mount there. You get some screws, some wall anchor right there, and you get a USB-C to USB-A and a power adapter in here. Now, I want to show you the big point of this, okay? This is intended to be a smart activity sensor. And in a lot of cases, you're going to use it to help people who are prone to falling down, or they might just need a little bit of extra support in their life. What I really loved about this idea at the start is right here on the box. So there's a stick figure being displayed instead of the actual person. And that gives you, number one, a lot of insight into how they are processing information. But it also gives you a lot of insight into the approach to privacy here and security. Now, I can recalibrate and I can set regions of interest. So here's the interface. That interface, you can color lines, you can make rectangles. You're able to choose an entrance, exit, restricted region, overstay detection, absence detection. You'll get alerts on the restricted, overstay, and absence areas. And I've been able to break down a region by people group. See that right there? I'm able to say, okay, this is a specific restricted region. I can manually draw it in. And I mean, this is like a coloring book. So now if anyone categorized as a senior, which I have to add people into the app. You can see it right there. As you add people, you take their picture, you put in a picture of their face, and then you categorize them as a senior or staff or a visitor. When I went to CES many years ago, I saw this system along with a number of others that claim to be able to do things like fall detection, presence detection, and monitoring of seniors or people who just need a little extra help. The fact is, none of them were accurate enough then. And I have to caveat what I'm about to say with, nothing is perfect. But this works, and it works really well. It detected me in regions of my kitchen that I wanted it to, and it sent notifications and a playback of the incident. It detected me laying down in front of it, and it sent notifications about my quote-unquote fall. And it detected me waving at the camera, asking for help when I was standing there. It allows me to instantly call through the onboard speaker and microphone and check in with the person on the other side too. And it detected that it was me specifically. And the app allows you to customize what different types of people in the home can and can't do, and whether or not you'll receive notifications based on their activity. And it detected all of this without showing me on camera even one time. The biggest privacy issue with this system is that I had to upload a few pictures of myself so it could recognize my face. That's how it works. The camera detects people by face after you upload 4 pictures at the right angles. Then you categorize them, and then you set the rules for regions and other things like fall detection. Then you categorize them, and then you set the rules for regions and fall detection as well as waving, and then you'll get all those notifications and detections. Now it did all those things, but don't think you're going to cover a huge area with a single one of these and be done set up in 10 minutes. Don't get me wrong, you can set them up in 10 minutes, but you have to think about things like kitchen islands, couches, and more getting in the way of the fall detection features. So I'd say just cover a space like mine with 2 of these cameras and you'll be great. You have a good range of heights to install these at and good tools to make sure your coverage is right. Then you'll have a private, secure way to monitor someone, a way to communicate with them whenever you want, or a way to help them with issues remotely. And here's the craziest thing, because if you get Amazon's Miss A Together feature, then Amazon's voice assistant will respond and ask if someone who's fallen needs help. And it actually works. It requests 30 seconds after you have fallen to call your emergency contacts or call for help, and you get to answer yes or no. So this is a truly smart system. It's truly useful, and I'm truly excited that something like this exists today.
Your device reported a fall. Do you want me to call urgent response? Please say yes or no.
No. Now this one is from a company called Divoom, and it says Timecode. Now I don't know what Timecode is, but this company last year, they had sent like a panel. It was a very customizable panel. And when they sent that, honestly, since that time, it has been one of the most requested items on my channel. Hey, what is that in the background? What is that thing doing? Everybody wants to understand it. So this could be pretty wild. Now look at that box right off the hop. That already looks awesome. Wait, it's not a box. It's a bag. We can go shopping. Oh, look at this thing, you guys. I cannot believe what I'm looking at. Like, this is something you would get in a video game for sure. Oh, okay. There's lights on the back. Look at the lights on the back. Okay. We've got a QR code over here that's saying, okay, it's ready to configure. And you've got the buttons on the top there all lit up right now. And I just hit the light button. Look. Whoa. Oh, the light is cycling through. Look at those lights in the sides here. Look at that. You see? Oh, there's different effects. This thing is crazy. Okay, let's hit mode. Whoa! Look at that! So that was one of the things that the panel did before was you had like the ability to download different things and then display it. Okay, there's the Divoom app. And you can see there's lots of community created effects, animations, different things. There was even like weather, different things like that on here. Now, while it's doing that update, before we can get to some of the really fun demos, like these legs, they're just plastic. This is mostly just a plastic construction. It feels pretty solid though, other than those legs. Like I wouldn't be bending those. I wouldn't be giving this to a kid saying, hey, you can move the leg. No, you can't. They're static and those would probably break if you're really ranked on them. But other than that, the physical construction of this is really, really good. It's obviously incredibly unique. There is nothing like this out there. I love that I can see the electronics on the inside. Just some of the board, and then they integrated those LEDs, and then it's like an LED strip. And then the sides have an LED strip too, with all kinds of different colors on them. This thing's wild. This is one of the most interesting products I've unboxed in a very long time. That's because not only is it remarkably interesting to look at from every angle with its steampunk feel and its high-tech look and feel, but it also hits the mark with its features. You can draw in any design you'd like, and you can create either static pictures or little animations if you'd like. Then you can display them on one of the 5 screens. You can manage all kinds of device settings, which allow you to deal with brightness, change it to a night mode that drops that brightness at a certain time, and you can shut it down and manage a number of other basic features. But then you have all these different features, from setting and managing alarms, creating celebration days like birthdays where you have custom displays. You can do a countdown or a stopwatch, and you can even count a competition on a scoreboard. If you connect with friends in the Divoom app, you can chat, and there is of course a noise meter. But then you can build these customized displays. There are certain displays that stretch across all 5 screens to display something like a big clock face. Or you can build panels with 5 individual displays on them. So each smaller display becomes its own display, and you can display whatever you want on it. That's a lot of displaying. But once you've built a 5 display setup, you can add more, and then tapping the mode button on the top of the whole device moves it along between your different sets of screens. And you can add up to 5 sets of 5 displays, or you can just have a couple, and there are all kinds of specialized screens that you can put on here. Everything from tickers for different leagues to stocks to weather, and even your social media stats, as well as recent updates. And I'm sure I'm only scratching the surface here, because other creators in the past have shown me how this Divoom platform can be used with more of their products to connect to other APIs. So I'm just getting started with this one in terms of its features. And that's before I talk about all the custom lighting modes that let you decide whether you want the surround lights on the side or just the backlights or both. And there are 12 different color cycle modes that you can roll through just by tapping the light button. It connects to your home's Wi-Fi, and it's been stable. And you can use the Divoom app to manage all of this, but after a little bit, you're probably just gonna leave it with all the information you know and love on it. So I absolutely love this, and I love that I have an upgrade on that Pixu 64 that I got last year from the same company. These guys keep knocking it out of the park, and although you won't be able to stand far back from this and read all the information on it, it is an absolutely amazing bedside clock or work desk panel. I don't know what's in here. This big old box, giant box out of the way. It's the Aqara Smart Pet Feeder C1. It works with Aqara, it works with their hub. It's gotta go with a Zigbee hub from Aqara, and you're gonna be able to automatically feed your dog and know all kinds of things. Here we go. I like there was nothing else in the box, so this is what we got. That's a really nice power cable, and it's USB. So like, can this thing just go into a USB port and be powered entirely off of that? Woo. So that's it. You're gonna put the dog food in there and you're ready to go wherever you should want to feed Rover. Now there are some buttons on here, but I imagine we're never gonna have to push that. Why is there a microphone button? Voice record button. This is it's a voice record button. Okay, that's really interesting. So I must be able to say, hey, in this case, Gidget, hey, come and get your food. And then that should prompt the dog to come back all the time. There's a feed button and a reset button. I didn't expect to care for this at all. I've tried a few other automated pet feeders and they've always underwhelmed and even had issues, but the C1 seems to get past a lot of those issues, and it has some customizable feeding features that truly will matter to the average family. For example, if you want to feed your dog 5 times a day, you can do that, and you can set different amounts. You can change the standard feeding amount too, so you actually have 2 different levers to pull on in order to adjust how much you feed your pets. Plus, the ability to record your voice and have that come out whenever food is doled out is a nice touch, and that exists on other units today. And I will say that this isn't the best quality speaker, but it's going to be more than enough for your pet to recognize that food is available. But the best feature with this comes when you have the Aqara G3 camera. You can have it look at the bowl when food comes out and recognize what's going on. This allows you to monitor your animal and get a recording of that. Plus, you could communicate through the camera. The G3 is also really useful to pair with this because it is a hub and this is a Zigbee pet feeder. But the fact that you can use D batteries or power from the wall makes this especially good for fitting in the right spot in your home. And I'll say it's not too large. Plus, with the C1, you can connect it to Samsung SmartThings hubs. So this opens up another option for managing the product. So it's quite the device and it has good compatibility. So I'm enjoying this one, and so is my pet and my kid. Why we're here, why I wanted to reach out to Sonoff, I wanted to get some products in, is the NSPanel Pro. Now this is something that can go in wall. You have to look at how you're doing the mounting. So they've given us a mounting plate. So why would I want to show you the NSPanel Pro? Well, there's a lot of custom things we can do with this little, well, I'll call it a smart display. And the thing that you weren't supposed to see was an enclosure stand. So you don't necessarily need to have this in your wall. And that's one of the things I think is really neat. For a lot of us, we don't necessarily want to get into wiring something like that into our wall. And I just got to get the tabs by this, by the gray cover. And I should be able to lift this all past it. Yeah, we're past one. Woo! Good catch. That was a good catch. So let's test this thing out together. This is a serious piece of engineering, and I want to see if it's going to be able to fix a lot of problems in our smart home with just this little enclosure. Son of a bee, this thing is different and it is really interesting. And I've been waiting forever to make that joke. But, you know, first of all, with the enclosure that I was sent, this is a really simple product to set up and even install. And all you'll need to do is cut down a power cable and expose those 2 wires. Then it's something you can plug into a wall just like any other device. And that, combined with some of the other features of this thing, makes it a really interesting option for those of you who have become a little frustrated with your smart displays. Now, it's not an incredibly powerful smart display. It's essentially a custom skin on top of an Android. We could call it a phone or a tablet. Now, it's a touchscreen that you can swipe left and right to switch between screens. And then you can swipe down to get to another menu that helps you configure the device further. Those screens can all be configured in the Link app, which enables a whole other set of features that I didn't expect. See, this is a Zigbee hub, and it's a hub for almost anything you bring into the Link app. Not only could I attach all of the different Sonoff products that I was sent, but I could attach additional Zigbee products like smart light bulbs from Linkkind and Sangled, and then I could produce automations that were locally executing. Those light bulbs had dimming color and color temperature features when they should have, and this allowed me to do fun things like place this next to my kitchen table and have full control of my kitchen lights through a panel. And it can run a whole DIY security system with an arm and disarm button on the main screen. And I was even able to view camera feeds from the Link app on the display. And it was fast, and I could do 2-way communication through it easily and effectively. So while I thought I was getting a touchscreen controller that I couldn't really do anything with, this is actually fast and responsive, and it's customizable enough that I could see people buying a number of Sonoff products and automating their entire home. Now, there are limitations to this device, and I tried to integrate Samsung SmartThings and bring all those products into the eWeLink app, but I couldn't use them in automations and I couldn't use them on the panel itself. So you're not going to get all of those. But I was able to bring Yeelight, and most of you should be able to bring in Philips Hue, as well as a few other companies' products, and then use those in both automations and in control on this panel. So this is something that if you're looking for touchscreen control and you're not afraid of buying a few really inexpensive products from Sonoff, then go try this one out, and hey, if you want to install it in a wall, you still can. What was really fascinating about that panel is that in the middle of the last month, it got an update to be a Matter controller. And that meant I could try and integrate Matter products into it. As has been the case with every Matter launch that I've seen, it did struggle quite a bit. Now, there's only a couple of device types I could use anyways, and I think that's a light bulb and a plug, but I really struggled to make a good connection. In fact, this harkened back to problems we used to have 3 or 4 years ago with smart gear, where you were required to get yourself or your phone onto your 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi in order to get something set up. And I don't have separate SSIDs on my network, so it was an absolute painful process to get that working. And in the end, I did get it to control a Matter smart plug from Mira, so that was nice to see, but it's gonna take some refinement because a lot of the settings and a lot of the controls you would expect in the app weren't available yet, and this panel has a funny way of doing automation with things that aren't from Sonoff. Now, if you integrate directly with the panel using Zigbee, then you could run an automation with those devices. If you brought in Philips Hue, you could run an automation on those. But if you brought in SmartThings or even these Matter products, you couldn't run an automation and you couldn't get it on the panel for display and for control. So there's a lot of work that has to go into that Matter integration, and I think into this system in general to make it one of the big players. But if you give that panel another half a year, I think a revisit might tell a very different story because they are moving forward in development fast. There's a logo on this box and things are about to get twisted around here. We have the brand new, finally released Flic Twist. I'm excited for this one. That's a big device too. Look at this thing. It is bigger than the hub. Now the star of the show is obviously the Flic Twist, and that's what we're gonna focus on, but they've actually sent me the Flic Hub Mini. This is a brand new hub from Flic. They also sent me some sticker sheets. Here you go, 3 different sticker sheets. I mean, there's a lot going on just with that. Those are smaller than the previous Flic buttons would have taken, so I think you're gonna be able to place them around the edge. I'm not 100% sure. And then they sent me this really interesting thing. This is in mint condition. It's a first generation Flic button, and they say when they release like their whole Matter update, this will work with Matter. So things are getting a little crazy over in Flicland. You get a little video guide card. There's a sticker and they're telling you right on it, affix this side to the back and affix the other side to your surface, wherever you want to mount that. I popped off this cover already, and this is intended to be able to be like a screw mount. The other thing that they're giving you are 2 AAA rather batteries that are already in here. So this is ready to be paired with a hub, and I have a Flic hub, the IR version, in my home. That's kind of the more comprehensive version. As I put the batteries in, I can feel the magnetic plate as I go into here. And there we go. There is Flic Twist booting up. And now we can, you see it down here, add that Flic to the hub. And all they want me to do, press and hold my Flic until it connects. Okay. Like that was it. That was pretty simple stuff. Now with this, you're getting a number of new control methods. So it's not just push, double push, and hold anymore. You actually don't have that hold function anymore. As I go into the twist menu, there's brightness, color temperature, color, saturation, volume, and even our blinds. And then there's 2 advanced modes, and there's a 3rd advanced mode coming called selector. That's gonna really mash up things, but this is already pretty wild. Now, advanced dimming, if I understand this correctly, this is quite the interface on here. You can hit the plus on the sides, and this allows you to continue entering additional functions as you go through the twisting. So you see all these little, well, they're buttons. If I tap into one of those, I get this dimming point. Okay, so, you know, in this case, since I tapped way over on the right clock hand wise side, I'm on dimming point 4 of 4. So what I can do at that point is I can add devices or actions. And at that moment, I get to pick the saturation, the brightness, whether they're color or they are white. Now I'm gonna put it at blue, just like it is right here. And then I can also hit actions. So at the same time, this is not just controlling this one device. At the same time, if I am push and twisted all the way to the left, then I can cause actions to happen throughout all my other stuff. This is wild. Okay, now I've set up a number of the different features, so we're not just gonna do brightness anymore. Now within the twist function, I have a scene blender. Now with the push twist, I have an advanced dimming. Then I have a push, just a toggle, keep the color. So I can do, there's a push, on, off. And if I double tap, it will actually change to a random color. Now it seems to be picking the same color for all the lights that I've included there. It's really interesting. Now, let's just do a scene blender. And it has a bit of a different automation when you choose this scene blender. Like it's just moving that light around. Very, very interesting stuff. You can tell, pretty wild, right? Okay, so now let's do the push twist. And I think with the push twist, it's gonna be a bit interesting. You know, obviously you're gonna have to have that on a surface, but now I can push twist and it's filling up the light bar, and now it's reducing the light bar. And again, like lots going on. And I'm only using lights, guys. This is only with lights from Philips Hue. There's so much more I can do here. Now I want to show you the most interesting feature with Flic Twist. It's called Selector, and this makes the whole setup page really wild and the whole setup process really wild. But if I go into Selector, and I can only do this under push twist, you can't actually choose Selector. This is where it sits when you're just doing a twist function. But here in Selector, I can go into each position individually. So this is 11 o'clock, here's 10 o'clock, here's 9 o'clock, and you can set up each one individually. Now I've gone to the advanced mode, so that's why I have all of these. And what you're going to be doing is switching between the modes. This is a push twist function, and that should be 11 o'clock. Not 100% sure yet, but as I go in, now I can configure what the device does in that mode. So right now you can see I have an adjust brightness on a certain group of lights. I have a push and I have a double push that both go to Amazon. Now, when you're in Amazon and you're creating a routine, here's what it looks like. This is the wild thing. So I'm just setting up the double push. Okay, so when I'm on 11 o'clock and double push is pressed, then I can set up whatever I'd like to have happen. So I'm going to demonstrate this in a moment with my Govee M1 upstairs. So I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to pick a scene, and we're going to use the forest scene for this one just because it's going to be very different than the other one I just created. But I just created 2 Flic twist scenes with selector. Now that's at 11 o'clock, and what you'll notice, so here's at 11 o'clock in the Flic app. If I go to the 10 o'clock, I have something totally different going on. These are triggering smart things scenes within the 10 o'clock. So let's go play with this. If you look around this, that gives you 33 different actions you could take as you move around there. You're obviously going to need some of those stickers that they gave us in order to make this work just right. But when you do it, boy, can you do a lot with Flic Twist. That's an Amazon routine running. And if I just go over here, now I can run different things. Look, I'm changing the color of that down there now. Amazing stuff. We waited forever for Flic Twist, but wasn't worth it. Well, you're going to see some reviews come out and be disappointed, and there are reasons for that. But what this does and what this will do is absolutely beautiful. Now, the twist and the push and twist features work extremely well with directly integrated systems like Philips Hue, Sonoff, and I'm sure the IKEA Dirigera hub with blinds and light. A really great use case for this is to add in lights as you're halfway through a twist or a push and twist. And it's really great to shift colors either together or separately with these advanced dimming features. But as we received Flic Twist, there were some issues. I couldn't get Samsung's SmartThings scenes to execute, and I couldn't get Amazon's routines to start either. Plus, I couldn't get Google's cast-based volume control to adjust. But that was only with the twist and the push and twist features. All of those things still work when you push or double push the button. Now, Flic has since fixed this, and some reviews came out without that fix. So just understand that there's more here than there was on launch day. You know, I think that's the other big disappointment that people will have. If you don't see your service in this list, then you can't control it directly with Flic Twist. This is the same as the Flic buttons before because nothing has changed in terms of the services. The only change is you're being given those extra 2 control methods with Twist. Now, I didn't realize it when I first opened the package, but this is what's called the mixed color version, and that's only going to be available for a limited time. Otherwise, these come in a solid white or a solid black, and while the price is high for this controller, there are going to be some situations where nothing will work better. Now, I can't wait for the next 2 years to see what the team at Flic come up with for improving this device further. Because I guarantee this device is just going to get better with future Matter controllers coming from Flic and just the general ingenuity that we've seen from this team. If you think about everything they've been able to do with a simple push button, well, I can't wait to see what they do with a twist. We waited for a long time for Flic Twist, and honestly, I don't know what people were expecting when they were complaining about it, but it does everything that it was supposed to do when it was first talked about. And I think for that system, they need to move forward with some more direct integrations like the one they have with Hue or Sonoff, and I'm hoping that Matter helps them achieve a lot of that. But for now, if you have any of the systems that are in their app, it is fantastic, and the selector mode is something that I think opens up the world for those of you with Amazon and SmartThings. But every month I go through a question that I think is highly relevant to the time, and most of the time I pull a question from our members. Actually, as I record this today, Finn asked me a really great question about smart home hubs. But before I get to that, I just want to thank our channel members. These are the people that make it entirely possible for me as a creator to continue here by supporting the channel. And a reminder to all of you that if you're a channel member, you're getting all kinds of benefits like the deep dive videos we've started to make, and you get your questions answered each and every time here on Automate Your Life. Plus, you might just get featured like Finn. Finn asked me, what are my main smart home hubs today? And the truth is that I am consistently running through different smart home hubs just so that I can test their reliability, some of the features that we get with them. But I haven't ever uninstalled SmartThings, and I haven't uninstalled Amazon in a very long time. The reason for that is because that pairing is pretty good. There's a couple issues, but it gives me access to just about every smart home device on the market available today and a ton of options for automations. However, I am definitely on the lookout for something that's a little more reliable, and next month I'm hoping to feature at least 2 and hopefully 3 smart home hubs on this very video. And then I want to do a big comparison of all the best smart home hubs out there today, because I think I have just about every one of them in my home. Now, there are pieces that I enjoy to what Apple HomeKit has done with the Apple HomePods, and I love some of those Apple-esque features like dropping my music onto the HomePod. I think Google's done some good work with their routines, but it's not reliable enough to use in my smart home, at least not yet. Habitat, Homey, and Home Assistant are all things that I have in my home, or in the case of Homey, it's coming next month. That's a little hint for you, but I'm also testing out a system that an installer would bring into your home. So to baseline this for you all, I use SmartThings primarily, but if that system doesn't turn more reliable right away, now that we're done all of the updates and upgrades, I might actually turn away from it. And I think that more than a few people are making that decision right now, having gone through the last couple of years. That's very sad because the feature list of what's coming is pretty impressive, and that's what I've been waiting for. This was delivered moments ago, and I had a chat with the folks over at Lutron about this just yesterday. This is one of the sets that you can get through Cassetta, through Lutron, for their new remote, and this is a Pico remote. It's a bit of a different one. Here is the brand new Pico remote. Now this is a paddle version, so it's basically a wireless button, okay? 2 buttons up and down. Now in the last couple of years, Lutron has released the Diva. This is the Diva Smart Switch. It has a dimmer function on the side here, so you can move that up and down to change the dimming on your light bulb. And they've released the Claro as well. Now that's just a standard light switch. It doesn't have the dimming switch on it. But what they haven't had to go with that is a very simple Pico remote. Now this is a simple paddle. It carries all the same specifications. It carries all of the same attributes as the other Pico remotes in their lineup, but obviously it's a very simple control. That means 10 years of battery life, for example, and it means you can use it with their other mounting options, just like what they've included here. Now, the one really interesting component here when you're using it with a Diva or a Claro Smart Switch is that now you can use this as a 3-way switch. So even if you have a standard single pole, which means you just have one light switch in your room, you install the Diva or the Claro, and then this can be configured as a 3-way switch controller, which is really wild actually. So that means you can place this anywhere in your room and suddenly you've got a 3-way switch. This one, if you set it up in that 3-way configuration, or 4-way by the way, they can do multiple control, they don't care, then it will actually bring it up to that dim point, and then you can tap it again and bring up the lighting all the way. So it truly acts as a secondary dimming switch. Now here's what you get in this specific pack, and I really love that Lutron gives you everything you need. So they give you a number of wire nuts and a couple of screws in case you need that when you're installing the Diva. And actually this is like a double face plate, so you could pop off this, and that's what's going to go into your wall. You have all the cables here, and even with this dimmer, it's a no neutral required dimmer. I really like that about this setup from these guys. It can be installed in a single pole, 3-way, 4-way installation, and they have great tutorial videos. And actually, I put out a demonstration video with this. I went through quite a bit. Now, the other bag has some more wire nuts, and then they give you the other screws and the wall anchors in that bag. Now you have this extra cable right here. This extra cable can be used in your third switch in some cases as part of the installation. And then you have quite a set of guides here actually with this one. There's 3. I'm not even opening that on camera. There's not a lot to say about this product after you've been using it for a while. It's a Pico remote. It works with Lutron cassetta. It works every single time, and it's gonna last 10 years on a single battery. This is the absolute simplest way to have remote control anywhere in your home with the Lutron cassetta system, and I love how it works with the Diva Smart Dimmer I've shown on the channel previously. One push turns on the light to the Diva's manually set level. 2 pushes the light all the way to 100% brightness, and 1 push down turns it off. It's not a dimmer though, so don't expect that. Still, this is the Pico remote I'm buying 9 times out of 10 for my home, and I bet all of you are too. Ooh. Interesting. Now here's one of the interesting things about Sinope. They have a smart adaptive phase dimmer. Now this is a Zigbee version, and you look at that compatibility list. That is pretty incredible. It's capable of quite a number of different ratings depending on the light, the type of light that you're using with this. Now let's listen for it. I like that. And it's like a snap back switch, so it's not gonna hold up. And these kinds of switches, I really like them because it doesn't matter if the lights are on or off, you can just press them in order to have them go in the direction you want. There does look to be an indicator on the side here in terms of the brightness, but I'm gonna have to look that up too. There's lots to look up here. I've got a load, a neutral, a line. This has got some different compatibility with it and some different features on the switch itself. Now the wires in the back, I've got a load, a neutral, a line, and a blue one that says 3 watts on it. I'm not too sure, but we've got wiring diagrams in here. Now it's compatible with, it says both single pole and 3-way compatible, but it does require the neutral. That's always a big question. It's 120 volt, okay, and 60 hertz because we're in North America. I think this is a hard product to understand for most customers just reading on a web page, and I think that's why it's not a consideration for a lot of people. But this is a gem, and a unique gem at that. There's no other smart switch that allows you to dim non-dimmable lights, as far as I know. Feel free to correct me in the comments though. Now don't get too excited and think you'll be attaching this to smart bulbs. I've had some of them work with this switch, but that's not really the use case and it doesn't always work right. But what does work is incredible, as I've been able to use this with all non-dimmable bulbs to create a dimmable environment. I didn't hear a lot of noise from the bulbs either, which I would have expected, but the technology being used to dim these bulbs is working really well. Now I did hear some buzzing on a very, very cheap CFL bulb, but that was it, and everything else was perfect. Physically, the switch looks great and works great. The only thing that might catch you is there's a bit of delay when pressing the switch or dimming. And that's due to how Sinope does this dimming work. But you're gonna use this as a smart switch, and there are an incredible number of settings that are in the NeviWeb app. That's if you use this with one of Sinope's hubs. It's a great setup and way to use this switch, but I know many of you will be wondering about SmartThings. And the new SmartThings Edge drivers gives you great power monitoring data, control of the dimming level, and on-off control. And it's local, so it's great. I'm sure other hubs will work just fine too, as this is a standard Zigbee Smart Life switch for all intents and purposes. So it's simple for you, an easy install, and that completely unique offering for you. I have one more product for you this month, so don't go away. But before we go on to that, I want to thank you all for coming and watching today's video. The truth is, I'd like to thank you with a giveaway, but Google and YouTube and Google AdSense have started to do something that is heavily impacting the creators you know and love here on YouTube. And it's stopping me from running giveaways now. But you can look up something called the invalid traffic issue. And a lot of people are calling it a bug on YouTube. It basically breaks down to YouTube telling creators that we have traffic coming from some source that isn't real. Now with the last month, my analytics show that almost 90% of the traffic that came to Automate Your Life came through YouTube and or Google automated systems like Google Search. So, you know, if I had to bet, it's something to do with all of these AI chat bots and all of the scraping tools. But it's not us doing it, and they are taking away revenue as a result of this. I know at least 3 other smart home creators that have had this hit them in just the last month, and our channel is now affected. It can drop YouTube ad revenue up to 80%, and I can promise you that if it goes to that level, I'm right upside down in my business and paying out much more than I'm making. That means big changes if it comes to that. For a lot of these creators, and for myself included, your support is very important. You coming here, watching today's video, and being all the way here at product 9 in the video is something that I can't stress enough as being so important for my life, for my kids' life, and for all the people that I work with and Automate Your Life. We're gonna march on, and again, I think I will be creating something that goes in depth on what this is. This is called the Trovolo. It's from BenQ, and it's a Bluetooth speaker of sorts. I don't know a ton about this, and I was talking to someone just the other day. Like this can be a little addictive. You don't really know what you're getting into. You're just getting stuff sent to you. So they said it's like a dopamine hit. I guess it kind of is. I never really looked at it that way, but maybe I'm addicted to this. Are you? Because it's okay if you are. We got a quick start guide in a different language. I have a USB-A to USB-C cable. I have 3.5 millimeter cable. Now that one, see the 3 rings? That makes it mobile capable. Don't know why they would specifically give me a mobile cable for that, but that's interesting. And then I have a little USB adapter and the speaker itself. Off the hop, this is really different looking. Now, I'm not going to tell you the primary function yet. We're going to get to that. But this little blue accent, I'll say, that's a really nice color. There's a lot of buttons on the back here, and there's actually quite a bit of holes. Let's call them speed holes. All the buttons look really different. They have really neat graphics on them, and then on the bottom, got a nice, this is all kind of a sticky pad. This thing's not going anywhere. That is really strong. They've given us a really great setup there. Also, there's our 2 ports. So there's the power port, and there is the 3.5 millimeter jack here. But this has an onboard battery, and it says actually on the box, 12 hours of battery playtime on this little speaker. Now, the other thing is it's gonna detect your distance from it and then change the volume based on that. It'll kind of detect you and then decide how loud it should be or what the safe volume is. Obviously, you've got the volume controls, and these buttons all feel really great. So the different sound modes, this is kind of the interesting part. There's a music mode, which is trying to balance kind of, you know, the different frequencies. There's a video learning mode, which provides the best vocal quality for online learning. So it's intended to be a speaker that can switch between these different things. Live learning mode provides smart echo control for best microphone performance. So really what this is a speaker and a microphone for you to be able to go back and forth on video conferencing and video calls. So I'm really interested to see how this improves that kind of a situation.
Voice command is turned on.
Voice command is turned on. Hey Trito, volume up. See that? Like, so local, this is not connected to anything right now. This is a local voice assistant sitting on this that works just with the speaker. Hey Trito, music mode. Actually, Trito, go. Look at that. That's my command for the Google Assistant. So, okay. Hey Trito, pause. After demonstrating this at the desk, I didn't hold a lot of faith in this product, and that's because I just didn't understand enough. And surprisingly, this is a really good Bluetooth speaker for computers, and it's really good for things like video meetings on your computer. Plus, it's a serviceable music speaker, more so than I thought. Now on your PC, when you connect it through Bluetooth, it acts as both a microphone and a speaker. And I found that the latency on this was extremely low, so low that I didn't notice any. But there's a bit of good cop, bad cop with this. There's a feature where you can set the volume automatically based on the speaker's distance from you. And while that was a nice feature, I found it skewed a little bit low all the time. The voice assistant was actually really useful for controlling things like volume, but the voice assistant turns off after a little time, so you have to press the button to re-enable it constantly. Now the battery was great, and it lasted a very long time when being used as a Bluetooth speaker, but I did find it draining a little faster than it should when it wasn't being used, so you have to charge this every couple of weeks. And it sounds a lot better than you would have expected in music mode. Plus the other two modes do help you to hear people better, which helped me in a couple of meetings. So this is something that works really well, but it has a fairly limited use case. But if it's something that fits what you want to do in your home, then I have no problem recommending it as a Bluetooth speaker. All the product links are down below in the description, and you can pick up anything you loved here today. I hope you found something great, and I hope you learned a lot today. So thanks for watching with me. And of course, don't hate, automate.